Good morning from Always in Stitches, and we're here with Deborah and Peter, and we're going to be doing the Darling Your Radishing zipper pouch today. And this is a perfect project for spring and for summer, but if you look outside, it certainly does not look like spring or summer. So hopefully, if you have your kit, you're snowed in, and you'll be able to just go right ahead and work on your projects. So Deborah, how was your getting here today?
Oh, it was fun.
Why was it fun? Not people would say it was fun this morning.
Well, we had to clean the snow off, and instead of using a snow shovel, we used our leaf blower.
That works.
It worked. I mean, it was light and fluffy. There was only about 1.5 inches of snow. I think if it's too deep, it's not going to work.
Yeah, it won't. You'll just have layers to blow off.
But so I could clean the path off to the car, and then when I got to the car, my husband was shoveling, and I was doing the leaf blower and got the car cleaned off, and we could get in the car and start it. Leaf blowing snow is fun.
Well,
and then you can clean your shoes off and your pant legs.
That's a good thing to know.
So they don't get, the snow doesn't soak through and get your feet wet.
Well, I drive a truck, and I'm short. So
a leaf blower would be good for you.
I didn't think about that this morning, but I was trying to figure out how am I going to get all the snow off my windshield. Because if you just use the windshield wipers, then you've got these big clumps of snow. And I thought, we've got a push broom. So I went in the garage and grabbed the push broom and just 2 swipes and my windshield was cleaned off. But I'm sure that when we get home, at some point, we're going to be out shoveling the driveway or using our leaf blower because we do our driveway, and then I have an 80-year-old neighbor with heart issues that lives next door, so we always make sure that his driveway and sidewalks are cleaned off too. So maybe I'll take the leaf blower over to his house. He always tells me I shouldn't be doing that, but it's like, I'm not going to let you be doing it because I don't want to call the ambulance on you.
And it might be too much snow, too, by the time you get to it.
That's true.
We're supposed to be getting more and more snow.
Yeah.
But it was fun this morning.
I bet it was. Well, Deborah's going to hang out with us because she's never done a zipper pouch before, and she's teaching the class here in the shop, so she thinks she needs to know how to do this, which is fine. So she's going to be with us, and she's going to be offering some, told you, Deborah. She's going to be offering some tips and comic relief as we go. So what I have done in preparation for this, I have loaded my hoop with the sticky back stabilizer, and then in your directions it tells you how to apply a fusible interfacing to the back of your zipper pouch front. So what you will do is you will open up your zipper pouch, and you'll have your lining sides up with the zipper pull at the top, and then you will flip one piece of the lining over, and then this is your zipper pouch front. You will adhere your fusible interfacing to this side.
Did you use SF101?
I did. I have a little piece of it right here, and you can see it's woven. You can see my hands through it, and then it's got the little adhesive on the other side. So it's going to stabilize this so that your design's not going to pucker as you embroider it. So we ironed that on, and we have that all together. So then in your directions, it says that you want to draw a line, and
pen. We need a pen.
Well, I have one somewhere.
I usually have one behind my ear.
Well, it's not that kind of a pen you need.
have to have a friction pen.
You need one that is going to disappear. So I'm using a disappearing ink pen. And what you're going to do, as per your directions, you're going to measure here on your the part that you fused your interfacing on. You're going to get the center. So you can do it one of two ways. You can measure and then divide it in half, or you can just fold it in half, just do a small finger crease here, And then take your ruler, lay it down there on the crease, make sure it's even, and then just draw a line. And in using disappearing ink, that line's going to disappear. It's not going to show in anything. And then after you have, this is step 2 in your part 1, you've got that one, you're going to go to the, flip it over, so you have the front of the zipper pouch showing, and you're going to fold this up so that you'll see your line that you marked, and then go over to your iron and just press that down. You just want a good enough crease in there that you'll be able to see everything to line it up. Okay, now that we've got that done, our pouch is all prepared, we've got our hoop prepared. So on your USB, when you go to the design, you will see the crosshairs design. That is going to be the first thing that you need to pull up on your machine, because we have to do that before we do anything else. So directly onto our sticky back, we're going to do the crosshairs. And you have to be careful because this likes to grab your thread and unthread your needle.
Was there preparation, like when you use sticky back for the first time? Is there anything else that you have to do when you put it in the hoop?
You'll put it in your hoop, and then you'll notice you've got a shiny side. You'll take your a pin or the end of your scissors or a seam ripper. There we go. I'm at a loss for words right now. And then you'll just run it like around the inside of your hoop and then make an X, and then you'll be able to just peel back these pieces and take them off. Okay, for whatever reason, when we change threads here, the machine doesn't like it, but we'll fix it. All right, here we go again. Peter, what do we always say?
Remain calm.
It's not a video unless my machine decides it doesn't like doing what it's doing.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to pull another.
Do you have a gray, that bottom line thread?
I think it's because Martha's a morning person. No, Maria. We named it Maria.
Did we?
Yeah.
I don't remember what we named it.
I think Maria's a morning person.
All right.
And she's cranky.
She is. Because, you know, if we did this at home, I wouldn't have big trouble.
I've never had these problems in an embroidery class. Ever. And if I did, it's because I jumped too far ahead in the instructions.
Didn't.
Oh, this is
Did it say it was
fun.
unthreaded?
Yeah.
Just hit the start button again. See what it does. Because it's not unthreaded.
She is just not a happy camper
Like,
this
she's
morning.
knotting up. She doesn't like that thread.
Well,
Do you have a different green?
I do. It's in my pouch behind the machine. We'll just try a different thread. Peter, we didn't have any trouble with this one, did we?
No, we did not. No, last time we just had that little piece of thread that was stuck in the, under, when you took off the plate. we found that piece of thread that was just stuck in there.
And that was white thread, I believe.
White. It was a piece of white thread.
See, Deborah's here to do our troubleshooting for us.
Thanks, Deborah.
Now, okay. You're fine, you're fine. Well, I was gonna tell you what I did, but I thought you were ahead. I'd already thought you'd threaded the needle. And I don't know if this makes, I always put it through that hole, the thread. I don't know why, but someone told me to, and
Okay.
doesn't mean it's gonna work.
Third time's a charm, right?
Third time's a charm.
Wait for it.
Hold your breath.
For it.
Did not like that thread.
Or maybe it was the putting the thread through the donut.
Yeah, there it was.
It was thread in the donut.
Okay, so if your machine is working properly, you will have a big plus sign here. And that is your crosshairs. So once you have that stitched out, you're going to go back to your machine and find, I know there's a shorter way to do this. You're going to go to the 5x7 design. Okay. There we go. So as per your directions, once you have that in, you're going to take your zipper pouch, and where you have your crease on this end, you're going to line up with this part of the crosshairs. And you're also going to line the purple line up with this line. So once you have everything lined up, press it down good into your stabilizer, and then open it up. Okay, so there we have loaded up our pouch. You can take your hoop off just to double check. Okay, now if you see the back, even though I lined it up on the front, it's still showing that it's lined up just a wee bit off. So we need to pull it over a little bit. Okay, once you have that lined up to where you can see that it's right there on that line, you need to make sure that this is also lined up, and it's not. So we just need to kind of make everybody happy here. And I know some days that is impossible. All right. Okay, so get it, make sure it's all pressed in good. All right, so we've got our design loaded, and we're going to do our leaf on the first radish. These are radishes here. We're going to do our first leaf placement line. So this is going to be step 2 in your book and step 1 on your machine. Please behave, it's not that early.
Oh, it is. Oh, you can't see it because of the plush velvet.
Yeah, your stitches kind of
Oh,
fall
they're
down
buried.
in there. so once you have your placement lines for the leaves, and they do kind of go down into the velvet. This is a velvet pouch, so
Love that velvet.
they're not going to stand up like the others.
Love it.
Deborah, my paper tape.
Paper tape.
Our favorite tape. So you're going to take your first fabric and lay over the top, completely covering your placement lines. And then we'll get our favorite paper tape out and tape that down. All right, then we're going to go on to step B, 2B, and we've taped that down. So then step 2 on our machine is going to tack down our fabric. I've got Deborah here to help me keep myself together. That's a full-time job. So these stitches you'll be able to see better. Yeah, they are. Where before I don't think they did. I think they just did a single. That fell down into the pile of the velvet. Okay, so once we have those stitched up, you're gonna take your hoop out, remove
your
your tape, and then we're gonna trim close to your stitches, but do not cut your stitches. It's gonna leave kind of like a little frayed edge on there, but that's okay because leaves are not perfect.
Raw edge.
Raw edge.
Raw edge.
They're a little frayed too.
Do they call that Savoy? If something has a ruffled edge, a Savoy edge? I feel like in my garden catalog they call that on spinach like a Savoy edge.
Getting in between these leaves is a little tight.
Need those spring loaded.
Okay, got one. And again, when you're all finished, if you don't like the way that they look, you can go back and trim your little edges again, but just don't cut your stitches because once you finish your pouch, it's going to be a little hard to get it back into the hoop to fix.
It's a rabbit footprint.
It looks like one.
I was so happy the other day. I saw a rabbit in my garden.
You don't want rabbits in your garden, Peter.
Oh, I do. I love rabbits.
They eat your stuff.
Oh.
We had to double fence our garden because of rabbits. Not just one layer of fence. Two.
As long as they leave me something, you know, I'm not picky.
Oh, they stripped every single one of my green bean plants of all their leaves.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Before
So-
the green beans were there.
Oh, yeah.
I put out kale for the rabbit and carrots.
Okay, so you're going to put your hoop back in after you've trimmed that all up, and we're going to do our next set of placement lines for our next radish. This will be step 3 on your machine. I had put a net over my green beans and I caught a baby rabbit.
Oh.
He was not very happy that I came up and tried to get him out. But I think by then all the green beans were gone, so it's like, what's the point?
He wanted to get the last one.
Well, they did. But when I double fenced it, no more feeding the rabbits.
Save your tape. Put it on your machine and then you can use it on the next one.
If the velvet doesn't
Well, that's true.
because the velvet's got more of a fuzz.
Yeah, that's true.
I have done that before. All right, so this is your second fabric. And I suppose you could do these in any order. This is step 4 on your machine. If you like a fabric better to go first, remember it's your project. So as long as you just kind of follow their directions, placement of fabric is, or choice of fabric is your choice. Way too long. Yeah, Deborah doesn't do random, so she will do it exactly like the directions say. Exactly like the picture shows.
Oh, that was horrible.
And that's okay.
It looks all right, but it just took me more time.
Oh, yeah.
Because then I had to justify why am I putting this one, you know.
Okay, once you've got that one, you're going to trim it up, and we're going to take Deborah's advice, and we're going to put our tape right there.
I'll try it.
I'm going to trim this one up. And here in a minute, we get to use the foam. That's so much fun. All right. Second set of radish leaves are done. So then, step 5 on your machine is going to do your third set. She just has to get being obnoxious out of her system, and then she's fine.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't know why they do it, especially if it's been working all right.
Friday, I really broke it. That was really close. All right, so we have our third one in. We're going to take our third piece of green fabric. This seems a little close to the edge of my hoop over there.
Yeah, it does.
It's kind of scary. But it's the wrong size hoop. I think we'll do a quick hoop change because the crosshairs told me one size and I second guessed it.
You'll be able to do that.
Can you get my 20B hoop? We need to go up a hoop size so that I don't end up stitching my hoop. And if you ever have to do this, I'm going to create a layer. Here, Peter, I'll be able to show how we do the so we're going to put
trick, run your finger along the edge.
I like wrestling it. I get my exercise. All right, we got it in.
Yeah, tighten it.
Okay. All right, so here I have my seam ripper. I'm just going to go all the way around the edge. You can hear it kind of cutting. And just make an X. And then peel it up at the center, if it works for you. There we go. Okay, I am going to go ahead and redo my crosshairs on this one, just so we can be sure that we have it in there. So Deborah, you remember we're on step 6, okay? There we go. Okay. Alright, so I'm just going to line up my crosshairs on the back of this one that are right here, directly onto here. The problem with sticky back is it works too well. Okay, so we're lining up our one crosshair. Okay, that looks good. All right.
Now we're on step 6.
Okay. I think my job is to show you guys everything that you might do wrong and how to fix it. I really think that's... All right, so step 6, we are now ready. Cross your fingers.
They look like islands.
Are they warm islands? So we do just have like a double layer of our stabilizer on here, but it'll be extra stable. Yeah. so we're gonna go in and trim up our last set of leaves.
Do you like radishes?
I do. But I don't like them if they're super, super hot or if they're woody, if they've been in the ground too long. I like a nice, good radish that's got just a little bit of heat to it, but not much.
Not me.
The ones I grew one year, they were so hot I couldn't eat them. It's like, oh. How about you, Peter?
I grew them one year to try them out, and I was surprised at how well they did. And they were fun. I had them
Yeah.
on salads, and they're very crunchy, very tasty.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, I was looking for something I can plant early
Yeah.
and try to put things in at different times, and that was one of them I tried. I was surprised on how well they came up.
Yeah, our next step, we're gonna do the stems on the leaves, and it's gonna do the leaf detail. So this is step 5 in your book and step 7 on your machine. That's down. There we go. Okay, we're back in business. Okay, Deborah and I were just discussing as it was doing some stitching here that in your directions they tell you to start with a 4x4 hoop and do your crosshairs, but you're going to have to move to a 5x7 hoop to do the design. So we're telling you, Deborah's going to tell her class this, to start with your 5x7 hoop. It's going to do the crosshairs at the center of this hoop so you can line everything up and it's going to work. As you can see, I had to go from a 4x4 to a 5x7 and they're not clear in their directions about that. So just start out with your 5x7, and this is probably too late. You may have started out with your 4x4, but hopefully you figured out that was a little close to the edge.
And if you did, just go to the 5x7
Yeah.
and redo the crosshairs.
Just
and,
flip it like I did.
You know,
So
it'll work, but
Yeah.
I think it'll save a step.
it would. It definitely would. All right, so we have all of our trimming done. We've got our leaf detail and our stems. So now it's time to do the actual radishes. I've changed to red thread, and we're going to stitch the foam placement line. You're so cute. Do you like turnips? Oh, that was a face.
I don't like radishes either.
I
Radishes
like
don't like
turnips.
me. Let's put it that
How
way.
about beets?
I like pickled beets.
Oh, I do too.
Those are my favorite.
Yes.
And I love baked, like if you put beets in the oven and roast them, I love roasted beets.
Ooh, never did
Ew.
that.
You wrap them in tinfoil, put them in the oven, season them however you think you might want to season them. Oh, they're so delicious.
I'll have to try that. Okay, now it's time.
Parsnips?
Yes, I love vegetables. The only vegetable I don't like is hominy.
Rutabaga?
Never had a rutabaga, but it's like a turnip, isn't it?
I don't know. I've never had it.
Oh.
I'm just thinking of things I know the names of.
Okay, so you're going to cover up your radishes completely with the foam. And Deborah, I'm going to use new tape
That's okay.
because foam likes to run around. And tape your foam down on all 4 sides. We don't want it moving on us. And just remember, if it stitches into the tape, it's okay. It'll come, pop it right off. And just make sure that on the pouch sides that it sticks really well, because the foam has some thickness to it and it doesn't want to go down. All right, so now we're going to stitch down our foam placement. This will be step 9 on your machine. And you'll have puffy radishes. Tape doesn't want to stick. Okay, so once you have those stitched down, you're going to take your hoop out and you're going to trim around all of your radishes. This will be a pretty easy trim.
Trim close, but don't trim your stitches.
Trim close to your stitches, but don't cut your stitches.
Because you're going to cover them all up anyway. So.
Well, yeah, but you don't want to cut them. You don't want your foam flapping. Nothing worse than flapping foam.
Anybody have projects planned for the Snowmageddon we're about to have?
I do.
I do too.
I have 3 planned.
What you got planned?
Well, my one grandson loves Purdue, and he asked me to make him a Purdue quilt. And I said, absolutely. My husband went to Purdue, my dad went to Purdue, so even though I didn't go to Purdue, we're a Purdue family. So I have that quilt to do, and then my other grandson
Get that thread.
came to me and said, Grandma, will you make me an IU quilt? And I looked at him with a very straight face. And I said, you know, if I make you an IU quilt, I will have to buy a new sewing machine because I don't think my sewing machine will sew IU fabric. So he looked at me and he said, fine, I'll go ask Nana to make me a quilt. Well, his Nana has a drapery business. She doesn't necessarily do quilts. So afterwards I felt bad and I thought, okay, I'll make his IU quilt. So I hope to get both of those done, and then my PIP, or my finish line project, is the Sewing with My Nomies of Kimberbell. So I hope to get those projects done. So, how about you, Deborah?
I'm doing bench buddy pillows for June.
Yay.
One is a pineapple, has a pineapple on it, and the other one's watermelon. The little one is watermelon, I think it's strawberry. I forget what the other one is. Then I have a quilt that I'm doing for my husband. I cut it wrong.
Oops.
So now I got to see if I have enough material that I can add at the bottom, you know,
Yeah.
the little bit. So we'll see.
Yikes. How about you, Peter?
I've been trying to figure out, I want to start doing English paper piecing, and I want to do the 60-degree diamonds. It's the 6-point diamonds. And I've
Yeah.
just fallen in love with that, what that pattern makes.
Yeah.
So I've been talking with Dawn this morning on getting started with the English paper piecing.
Use little stitches. Yeah, little stitches. It'll be fun. It's addicting. It really is. Okay, so once you've trimmed up your foam, we're going to sew the fabric placement line around each of our radishes. This will be step 10 on your machine. Now I still have my red thread in. Okay, we're going to do them one at a time, I guess. All right, so there's our fabrics. We're going to take our first fabric, and we're going to place
the right one.
I did. I followed the directions that time. And you're going to want to tape the bottom like we did on our leaves, just to keep our fabric from shifting. You'll notice you've got the little bump under there that's your radish from your foam. And this will be step 11 on your machine. Look, we have a radish.
Oh, look, you got that part of the material that's in the center.
Uh-huh. I did that on purpose.
It's
That's very
designed.
three-dimensional.
Yeah.
Pretty design.
You can't really see it on the camera, but
I'll just
unless
help
you
if I...
turn the hoop.
See, you got a radish bump.
It's got a little bump.
It's got a bump. All right, so I'm going to trim this one up. Okay, so there's our first radish. And then you're going to go along and do the same thing for the next two. We're going to do the fabric placement line. That's step 12 on your machine. Deborah, have I ever taken any of your embroidery classes?
No.
Guess I didn't learn from the best.
I did.
We've talked about the classes, but usually you're working.
Yeah, I know.
I've taken her classes.
Okay, so
Love me some Deborah classes.
step 13 is going to be your next radish bump. Hopefully soon, and I don't know when, but we'll be able to get back to having our classes. We miss doing them, and we miss having you guys here in the shop doing them. So there's radish number 2. We're going to trim it up. If you've done any Kimberbell at all, you should be really, really good at trimming by now.
Especially the raw edge.
I remember doing the trimming in the first, was it the first project or second project I did? There was lots of trimming, and I'm taking the hoop out and putting the hoop back in and raising the presser foot and lowering the presser foot.
It's kind of like grocery shopping. You pick it up off the shelf, you put it in the cart, you take it out of the cart and put it on the conveyor belt, you put it back in the bags, and then you put the bags in your car, and then you take them out of the
And this
car.
one doesn't have as many thread changes as some of
No, and that is wonderful.
The one Nomi one had 32 thread changes, I think it was.
Oh.
32?
Okay.
Man, I would have just used one color.
Step 14 is going to do our placement line. Is that the one I'm getting ready to do? Sewing with my Nomis?
Good luck with that.
Well, I got lots of time.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just do 1 or 2 projects a day, so I won't get, but I don't do that way. All right, so we've got our placement line. I'm trying not to cut my thread. So we're going to take our, now this last one is kind of wavy lines. You guys think I should do it this way or this way?
On the bias diagonal.
Ooh.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
I would do it straight.
Yeah.
but
You don't like that?
Yeah, straight.
Well, straight this way or
No.
straight this
Horizontal.
that way.
Vertical.
Okay.
Is that vertical or horizontal?
No, this is
Depends what-
horizontal.
Depends on the way you
Horizontal
look at it.
goes along your horizon.
Well,
Remember
it's,
it that
it's
way.
horizontal in the hoop and vertical when you're looking at it.
Well, true. Okay, so step 15, you're going to do this radish. We have our third radish bump.
Do you think the Kimberbell bears eat radishes?
No.
Oh my.
They don't like them.
I think bears eat anything that doesn't eat them first. So I think, yeah, Deborah, I think they might have something to say about that.
Not my Kimberbell.
Well, what do you feed yours?
Potatoes.
Potatoes.
Yeah, I grew up eating potatoes and no green vegetables.
Oh,
My dad didn't like them.
I was my dad's cook in tennis shoes. And my famous meal was fried chicken, mashed potatoes, and green beans.
That sounds amazing.
And I always had tennis shoes on when I was cooking.
Have you gotten that air fryer yet?
No, I haven't bought my
Oh,
air fryer
You
yet.
need to.
Okay,
We
so
made a cherry pie.
oh my god.
In the air fryer?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Okay, our next step, which I've kind of just ignored my book over here, is step 22, and it'll be step 16 on your machine, and it's going to do the saying at the bottom that says, "Darling, you look radishing." So here we go.
Look how they did the lines.
Just like us. Alrighty, so we have our phrase stitched on there, and we're going to take our project out of our hoop. Peter gets a good shot of this. And now we have all this extra stabilizer here on the back, so we're going to flip it over. And where you have your crosshairs that come next to your embroidery, just go in and clip those stitches only. Do not take any of the other crosshair stitches out. This will make it a little easier to tear away the extra stabilizer that we've got in here. Okay. So you're going to gently tear it away if it cooperates with you. Now I have 2 layers here of stabilizer, so I'll have to get both of those gone. This is always the fun part.
Relax.
All right, now we move over to our regular sewing machine, and I'm working on a 4120 here. I've not had much experience on this machine, but it's a basic sewing machine. So we're going to be stitching our front and our back of our pouch together with our linings. Didn't want me to go fast.
Speed.
So the first thing you're going to do is your zipper pull that has been kind of off your pouch, you're going to open it up to halfway. That's so you don't stitch over this. You don't want to do that because you'll break your needle and possibly mess your machine up. So you're going to take the two parts of your pouch and then the two parts of your lining. So this is all lining and this is all pouch, and you're going to line up all your edges and you're going to pin them. But I prefer to pin further in with the end of the pin towards the center of the project. That way I can pull them out of the way and not stitch over the top of them. Do not do that. I think Dawn would get after me if I damaged her machine, and I don't want that. Okay, so once you get your lining all pinned, you're going to make sure your zipper is kind of lined up with itself over here. You might even want to put a pin in there. Just, ooh, her pins are sharp.
She said that those were her favorite pens.
Whew. Okay, I could see why. Then you're going to line up your pouch edges. Ow. They're biting me. Okay, and then you're going to pin that down. Go all the way around. You can use clips, you can use pens, whichever you're most comfortable using.
Kimberbell tape? Can you tape it?
I don't think tape would hold that, because even as I'm trying to get it pinned, it's wanting to shift on me a little bit. I suppose if you wanted to, you could. Okay, so we're at this zipper, and we're just going to fold that in half. All right, so now our next step, once we have this all pinned up, and all these directions are in your direction packet, they tell you to pin these down. Keep your zipper teeth together. You are going to be sewing over the top of your zipper, but do not panic. As long as you have used the zipper that came, well, the zipper pouch, it's a plastic zipper, and your machine will not have any trouble going over it. Just you don't want to sew over the metal or the pull that we put in the center. So we have this all together here. You're going to use a 1/4 inch seam. You're going to sew all the way around, and you're going to leave probably about, let's see, we'll leave it on the lining side, a 3 inch or so opening to where we can turn this right side out. So here we go. Maybe I won't break this machine. Right, Deborah?
Hopefully not.
Where's my... There we go. Oh, this is so fun.
Especially if you use the stop-start button.
Gosh, Deborah, I don't use the stop-start buttons. I'm using a 1/4-inch foot that's going to give me a good 1/4-inch seam on here. Making sure my pins are all the way back so that the needle's not going to get to them. Okay, now right here, this is where the zipper is still together, so there's gonna be a bump there. So it might take a minute to get over the top of that. Hopefully it won't make too much noise, but you are going through plastic, so see, we went right over the top of it. And you're just going to continue on down through your pouch. It's wanting to pucker a little bit. Just kind of give it a little tug. All right, and when we're coming down this end, we're going to go back over the zipper again. This one lays a little flatter, so it should be a little smoother going over that edge. And it's not liking it this time. There we go. And don't forget to stop about, we'll stop right about that pin right there. You want to lock your stitches so that they're not going to rip as you pull this through, because there's a lot of bulk here that you're going to be trying to get through here. So take all your pins out or all your clips off, whichever you used.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Since you did the Farm Girl Vintage 2 quilt, did you use pins when you pieced that quilt?
The 6-inch blocks, it was a little hard to use pins, but I did.
How many pins do you think you used in that quilt?
How many stitches are in that quilt, Peter? A lot. Okay, now that we're at this point, you want to trim these zippers. I got a little extra pouch here, so you're just going to go over it. I'm just going to trim that edge a little bit. And then you're going to trim this one. Maybe. There we go. So this part of your zipper, you're just going to throw it away. You don't need that anymore. And then you're going to turn your pouch right side out.
Did you unzip it all the way to
I did.
pull it
I
through?
finished unzipping it so that
So
you
it
could,
fit?
yeah, gives you a bigger area to pull through.
Here comes the reveal.
And as my grandsons would say, ta-da! Now you're going to take some kind of a point turner. We have these cute little flamingo point turners, so I'll use that one today. And you just want to go in and, whoops, look what happened.
What happened?
I have a hole. So you know what we have to do?
Turn it right side out.
Well, let me check this corner.
Or turn it back inside out
Yep.
and catch the fabric.
Okay, that side's okay. So I'm just going to go back through. I'm not going to pull the whole thing back through, but just enough to where I can get to this corner. Okay,
Did
it
the
looks like
fabric
it
slip?
shifted on, yep, it shifted on that side. So we'll go up, go back a little bit into where we were. So I'm going to slant my seam just a bit. And that should take care of it. And when you've got to be careful when you're turning the point, getting your corners straightened out, that you don't poke through the fabric. That my stitches just didn't catch. It's going to look a little odd. And then you can go in and stitch this together, just whip stitch it.
Or glue it.
Or glue it, or staple it, or tape it, or however you would like to, but I would recommend just whip
Kimberbell
stitching this closed and then tuck it back in there. And always remember, darling, you look radishing. So there we go. Well, thank you for joining us for this project. And want to thank Deborah for stopping in and giving her advice as we go along, and for Peter. So we hope you enjoy doing this project, and we'll see you back for the third and final project in Garden Guild.